Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Russia facing strong opposition from Ukraine as the fight to gain control of its major cities rages. Foreign Affairs Ministry monitoring 4 more Jamaicans in Ukraine. And later in sports, under 20 reggae girls captain ruled out of CONCACAF Championship due to injury. I'm Shane Masters and here are the details. We begin with news out of Ukraine. 5 days into Russia's invasion of Ukraine, it seems things haven't gone exactly to plan for Vladimir Putin so far. Western intelligence officials briefed repeatedly over the weekend that Russian forces have encountered stiffer than expected resistance from an outmanned and outgunned Ukrainian military. Russia has thus far failed to take key cities across Ukraine, including the capital Kyiv. On Sunday, Ukrainian forces successfully repelled a Russian advance on a strategic airfield near Kharkiv. But what's it like on the front lines? We go to the CNN for more.
Right within the past few hours, there has been a ferocious battle here on the outskirts of Kiev. And this is one of those Russian Soviet-era vehicles which is completely burned out. You can see this is a bridge, actually, is an access point to the northwest of Kiev, the Ukrainian capital. And the Russian column that has come down here has been absolutely hammered. Obviously, we're still in a very exposed situation right now, but if I can just bring you along here, there's the debris everywhere, the twisted metal of these vehicles. This is obviously just a truck carrying supplies. We saw the armoured vehicle in front there. I mean, looking around, absolutely, look at this. I mean, what kind of munitions does it take to do that to a car, to a vehicle? You know, I know that I've been speaking to the local Ukrainian commanders here. They've been saying that they were using Western anti-tank missiles to attack these columns. Look, so recent the battle. This vehicle is still smoking. There's still smoke coming out the back of that. Ammunition boxes on the ground. There's unexploded grenades, you know, in various like pineapple grenades everywhere. You know, a real scene of devastation along this bridge. According to the local Ukrainian military that I've been speaking to, there were maybe as many as 10. I mean, look, I mean, this is a bit of almost a cliche, but obviously somebody's brought a memento from home, you know, and now it's scorched and lying with the debris of their, in this case, failed attack.
The 24 Jamaican students who were stuck in Ukraine have crossed the border and are now in Poland. They were transported by bus to a city in southern Poland. Foreign Affairs Minister Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith gave an update on the students last night.
All 24 are now on the bus on their way to Krakow, where accommodations will be waiting for them. Our charge is there. Our friends of Jamaica have been of the greatest assistance, and they've had something warm, and they are in a comfortable bus on their way.
In the meantime, the minister says a further 4 students are still in Ukraine. Mrs. Johnson-Smith says one of his students, who was contacted late last night, has proceeded to the border with Romania. 2 are in a part of the country believed to be more secure, and a 4th is still in Kharkiv. She says her ministry is in touch with the relatives and with the students to ascertain their level of safety, and support will be provided where needed. In the meantime, 2 people staged a protest outside the gates of a Russian embassy in Kingston this morning. Wrapped in the Ukrainian flag, former PNP member Karen Cross and former Jamaica Labour Party member Andre Stevens criticized Russia for its leader's role in the invasion of Ukraine. They are calling on the government to expel the Russian ambassador to show its support for the Ukrainians. Hundreds of people have reportedly died, many more injured, and thousands displaced. In other stories, it's only temporary. The answer from the St. Ann Municipal Corporation to concerns being raised about the location of a horse riding business in the parish. According to the corporation, a permanent solution is being worked on. Motorists in St. Ann are raising concern about the location of a horseback riding business, which is now located just meters from the Sentence Bay roundabout. This is now the fourth location for the business after moving from Mame Bay in the parish. The concern then was that the horses were creating mayhem. But with this new location, the concern still remains. Our news team raised the issue with President of the Mame Bay Horse Riding Association, Kay Salesman.
We don't have untamed horse. Most of the horses here are tamed and taken care of by the tour guides. They are always tied, always been feeding if they're not touring or anything of the sort like that. So we're not going to have that kind of accident here. But in every business we do have accident, but we're trying our best not to have an accident like that. We're trying to be more protective of our guests because we are carrying delicate goods.
Because it is unsafe for them to be operating right in the roundabout, and us as motorists negotiating corner at high speed, anything can occur. That's why we are in a hurry to ensure that we can move them from where they are.
But while the general area will be the permanent location, an assurance from Mayor of St. Anne's Bay, Sidney Stewart, that the situation will not be allowed to deteriorate to what was happening in Mame Bay.
Because we were in a hurry to keep them in business, they are currently established close to the roundabout, which is not the ideal place for them to be operating on. But that section, that part of land, from the roundabout down into the sea is what we are going to be regulating them properly. So we are going to move them further inland.
The mayor says within the next 6 to 8 weeks, a permanent location should be identified for the business to call home. In the meantime, he says the requisite infrastructure for the business to continue to thrive is being put in place. This will include proper sanitization stations and bathroom facilities. Currently, this makeshift restroom is what obtains for both locals and overseas patrons.
The municipality is looking at putting in the infrastructure for the horses stable. We are looking at areas for veterinarian services. We are looking at sanitary conveniences. We are looking at areas where the horses can be washed and cleaned at the end of the workday. So all of these infrastructure are going to be put in place when the technical people from the municipality identify the exact locations on the same parts of land for them to be operating from.
One police officer has been shot and another taken into custody following a bizarre shooting at Vale Royal this morning. According to the police report, the officer stationed at the facility shot the man who later turned out to be a cop. Information reaching our news center is that a car drove up and someone inside requested to use the restroom at Vale Royal. However, the police on duty denied the request. A man reportedly got out of the car and began approaching the officer on duty. The officer fired a shot, hitting the man who's been identified as a constable. He's being treated at hospital. And it's time for a break here on the Midday News. Stay with us, more stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. A bit of good news from a crime-torn community in Kingston. Children in sections of central Kingston were treated to a day of fun on the weekend. Endorsed by both political sides, the community has seen a break in violent crimes since a recent Zone of Special Operations, ZOZO. Codian Barrett reports.
Children in central Kingston over the last year and a half have been significantly plagued by acts of criminality, with some losing their lives and others being hospitalized. But that was not the case on Sunday, as scores of children from various communities within the constituency participated in a day of fun dubbed Kids Treat for Peace on Beeston Street, more popularly known as Spoilers. Donovan Williams is the Member of Parliament.
I've suffered some loss in recent times where some of our kids have been victims of violence, gun violence in the community. And so the children are our future. And what we're using this to do is to assure them that we regard them as the future.
PNP caretaker for the constituency, Imani Duncan Price, says this was well needed as a number of children have been affected whether directly or indirectly by the crime plague.
In that 2-year span, that at least 500 children were indirectly affected, because when you hear gunshots going while you're in your home trying to do your homework, you have to go under the bed, it affects a child. When you're on the roadside and a drive-by happens and you see somebody murdered in a bar, it affects that child. directly impacted. There are about maybe 12 to 15 children between being shot or being killed in its overall constituency.
Both political representatives have high praises for the implementation of the Zone of Special Operation, ZOZO, which have led to a decrease in violent crimes in the area in recent months.
There's a zone of special operation implemented in Parade Gardens, which is just to the south of us here, just a stone's throw. Where we are now, we're at Beeson Street, we're in the spoilers area, Rose Gardens. We do not have a ZOZO here, but the proximity of the ZOZO, and we do have frequent patrols here, so we do have spin-offs here. And so the security measure that has been introduced in Parade Gardens is having an effect, a positive effect in this area.
Without a break in the murders, in the drive-bys, you can't build that community. Because there has been a break in the murders, you have this today, where you have bounce-abouts on the main street. You have children out, you have their parents out, you have their brothers out, their uncles, man and man, women, everybody out in support. That's why a ZOZO is important as a beginning, but it doesn't help to build the community.
Cody Barrett, TVJ News.
The RGR Gleaner Group dominated the 2021 National Journalism Awards, winning 13 awards, including Journalist of the Year. Television Jamaica comped 7 awards, while the Gleaner won 6. Here's Kalisha Williams with the highlights.
It was a virtual affair. For the first time, the Press Association of Jamaica's annual awards ceremony was strictly online due to the pandemic, but it was still a momentous occasion. TVJ's Giovanni Dennis was the first winner of the evening, copping the Carl Winter Award for the Best Human Interest Feature Story for his feature Minibus Madness and the Story of Raymond Morgan. The Gleaners Christopher Serdrew and Ashley Angwin won that award in the print category. Mr. Dennis also won the award for Best Radio Documentary for a story on the Walker's Fire 3 years on, and the Digital Award for Excellence in Reporting on Technology. Glenford Campbell, also from TVJ, won the Ken Dawson Videographer of the Year award for his work on the documentary Housing Crisis. Meanwhile, Krista Campbell's documentary Where Have the Mangroves Gone came out on top in the environment category. And as for the children's right category, the winner was TVJ's Kayan Morgan. TVJ's All Angles with Dion Jackson Miller copped the award for excellence in reporting on health and wellness. The Jamaica Observer's Romardo Lyons was the Young Journalist of the Year, but it was the Gleaner's Jovan Johnson who took the top award, Journalist of the Year. Mr. Johnson also won the Carlton Alexander Award for Business, as well as the Hector Bernard Seeley Award for Print News. Nationwide News Network and Kalila Reynolds Media were also among the awardees. Kalisha Williams, TVJ.
And it's now time for the Business Minute. Here's Cody and Barrett.
The Jamaica Mortgage Bank, JMB, is planning to offer loans to fund 162 housing developments for the upcoming fiscal year. The JMB, which is earmarked for divestment, is also planning to reduce its bad debt portfolio by 10%. It hopes to do so by closely monitoring the performance of new loans and the implementation of immediate strategies to dispose of and recover bad debts. And in business internationally, Russia has more than doubled its interest rate to 20% in a bid to halt a slump in the value of its currency. The Bank of Russia raised the rate from 9.5% after the ruble sank 30% after new Western sanctions. The currency then eased back to stand 20% down. The collapse in value erodes the country's buying power and could wipe out the savings of ordinary Russians. Ahead of an emergency meeting between President Vladimir Putin and his economic advisors on Monday, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said, quote, "These are heavy sanctions. They're problematic, but Russia has the necessary potential to compensate the damage from these sanctions," end quote. He said Russia would respond with its own sanctions. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody-Ann Barrett.
Time now for the top regional stories with Sandy Williams.
In Trinidad, the chairman of the state-owned Paria Fuel Trading Company, Newman George, said the rescue mission to find 4 underwater welders who went missing over the weekend has now moved to recovery of the bodies. Paria had said that 5 employees of LMSC Limited, a private contractor, were conducting an underwater maintenance exercise on a 36-inch underwater crude oil pipeline in Port-au-Pierre when an incident occurred. It said it resulted in the loss of sight of the 5-member team who were being monitored from the shore. One diver was rescued on Friday. He is reported to be in stable condition at the San Fernando General Hospital. In Antigua, Prime Minister Gaston Brown has warned Antigua and Barbuda to brace for increased prices for goods and services as oil prices soar past $100 a barrel as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine last week. Oil prices jumped on Monday as Western allies imposed more sanctions on Russia and blocked some Russian banks from a global payment system, which could cause severe disruption in its oil exports. Brent crude rose from $4.82 to $102.75 after reaching a high of $105.07 a barrel in early trade. Prime Minister Brown said the economic fallout which could arise out of the emerging conflict could mean that his administration may find it much more difficult to protect consumers from high prices at gas stations across the country. And those were the top regional stories. I'm Sandy.
Thanks, Sandy. We head to a quick break. When we come back, Simon Preston will have your Midday Sports report.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. Under-20 reggae girls captain Peyton McNamara will miss the remainder of the CONCACAF Women's Under-20 Championship in the Dominican Republic after picking up a knee injury. The 20-year-old midfielder, who has 2 caps for the senior reggae girls, picked up the injury in Jamaica's 1-0 loss to Guatemala on Saturday. The young reggae girls will be looking to register their first win of the tournament against Cuba this afternoon. Kickoff is at 3 o'clock Jamaica time. In the other group game, Haiti will face Guatemala at 6 o'clock. ISA President Keith Wellington says he'll be having a discussion with the Jamaica Football Federation to ensure the pitch at the National Stadium is in good condition after Champs for the Reggae Girls' upcoming World Cup qualifier. The 2022 edition of Champs is slated to run from April 5 to 9, while the Reggae Girls will host the Dominican Republic in a crucial World Cup qualifier on April 12. Wellington is hoping certain provisions will be made to preserve the quality of the surface after the field events at Champs.
We believe that it should be an arrangement between IPL, the JFF and us to ensure that if it is possible, we can make provisions in terms of the throwing events to protect the surface. We have done it in the past, but it comes at an additional cost, and so it is a discussion that has to be had between those 3 parties. We know that the girls' game is an important game, and we would love to see them get the best opportunity to perform at their best. And so we are hopeful that an arrangement can be in place to ensure that the field is protected.
Prior to the home clash with the Dominican Republic on April 12, the Reggae Girls will face the Cayman Islands away on April 9. Defending champions Cavalier will battle Montego Bay United in action from the Jamaica Premier League at the Draxhall Complex this afternoon. Cavalier are 6th in the table on 9 points, while Montego Bay United are 11th on 4 points. Kickoff is at 3:15. In the curtain raiser, Arnett Gardens will battle Dunbeholden at 1 o'clock. And finally this afternoon, Reggae Boys striker Corey Burke scored for the Philadelphia Union on the opening weekend of the 2022 season of Major League Soccer in a 1-1 draw against Minnesota United. Burke scored the equaliser in the 35th minute after Minnesota took the lead in the 23rd minute through Robin Ludd. The 30-year-old striker scored 4 goals and tallied 6 assists in 21 appearances for the Union last season. And that is it for your Midday Sports Report. I'm Simon Preston O'Shane. It's over to you.
Thanks, Simon. And that's it indeed for the Midday News. I'm Shane Masters. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.